Hello, Pashbo Proudfeet here. I'm still going on my adventure, you know. Well, I'm currently in Bree, and I had a fantastic night's sleep in a very comfy hobbit bed. Still, when the morning came, reluctantly I had to get up very early to embark on the next part of my journey. I bid farewell to Mr. Butterbur and headed off towards the Bree South Gate. I exited through the South Gate and started to head along the east-west road. As with Frodo, I didn't want to be followed out of Bree. I then took an immediate turn to the north and headed towards Narrated. Oh, it was a very, very long day's walking. I found myself into the Chetwood and rested up for the night, with very, very sore hobbit feet, I can tell you. What an unpleasant way to wake up. My knife and fork were poking through my backpack and jabbing me in the ear. Most painful, and after that I really could not settle back down to sleep again. All I could hear was the sound of wildlife. Anyway, not too much to report today. I spent another day wandering through the Chetwood. Very unfortunate, but it really has become overrun by undesirable vagabonds. Dear, dear me, what is Middle-earth coming to? Today, I left the Chetwood and made my way into the Midgewater marshes. Now I tell you what, there are bugs and there are bugs. The constant sound of nika brika nika brika is enough to send you insane. And talk about bites, I think I have bites on my bites. What do these things feast on when they can't get hobbit? That's what I want to know. Anyway, I settled down as best I could in as comfortable and non-marshy piece of land that I could find, and I rested up for the night. I think I'm going to have to get used to these conditions. Rivendell is still a long way off, and from here on, everything's likely to be quite bleak. Oh, what discomfort I'm currently in. I accidentally fell into a particularly pungent swampy area in the Midgewater marshes and was soaked right through to my hobbit skin. But I am a hardened adventurer, so I will soldier on regardless. I was awoken from a brief slumber by bright lights in the sky, by my estimations probably coming from Weathertop direction. It immediately had me wondering whether Gandalf had returned to Amon-Sol with a little anniversary party trick. It is probably just my imagination though. I managed to find a nice high peak for a better view of these fireworks. I am quite short, you know, even for a hobbit, and this did cheer me up somewhat. So all in all, a fairly quiet day. Not too much adventure to be had in this part of the wretched swamp. It was fairly tempting to whistle for my horse and head off for a pint at the Forsaken Inn, but I'm afraid that's completely off track for me. Anyway, that's quite enough for me today. At least I will soon be in a position to leave these dreadful marshes behind and start to make the trek to higher lands and the Weather Hills. At last, the smells and slime of the swamp is now but a distant memory. I've left the marshes and started my descent upon the Weather Hills. It was a hard journey today, not a great distance, but involving a steep climb. Now, the lowlands are renowned for their bleak and desolate sights, but the historian in me knows that this area was once mighty in the days of the great kings. This part of the lowlands is particularly picturesque with its beautiful waterfall. Part of me wanted to just jump into that water. Yes, partly to wash away the slime from the last couple of nights in the swamp. Anyway, by my estimation, Weathertop is now a couple of days away. I've seen no repeat of the fireworks in the sky from last night, unfortunately, but I am eager to search around and see what I can find. Plus Weathertop has such a remarkable view. Until tomorrow, I bid thee a good night's sleep. my well-travelled feet are beginning to feel the strain of this long walk. My first foot blister. It hasn't been helped by the many steep hills that I've had to conquer. I am now really beginning to long for my nice hobbit hole again. It's very tempting to run back to Bree for a drink or two in the pony too. I do seem to think about food quite often. Yes, these thoughts are ever present in my mind. What is very pleasing is that tomorrow I will reach Weathertop. Always very exciting, that is. Following the old path, I found one campsite. Was this where the company stayed and were attacked? Possibly. Although Candace sits here permanently. I'm sure he would have been a great help. There is also a second camp, near the water source. This may, however, have been the camp that Gandalf was thought to have used. There is also wood covered up over here. How strange. I then made my way to the peak of Weathertop. What a glorious view this provides me with across the desolate wasteland of the Lonelands. Amon's Sol itself was worthy of much inspection. I found signs of fire on stones, which I am assuming to be a mark left by Gandalf. It does look very recent, and perhaps as the result of the fireworks that I saw in the sky a few nights back. Who knows? Today's been most satisfying on the food front too. I helped myself to multiple portions of eggs and onions, delicious crispy bacon, a complete hobbit breakfast, and hobbiton omelettes. Partway there to earning a renown as a breakfast connoisseur, I think. The only downside for the day came at night as I settled down to sleep. I woke suddenly, thinking of Frodo's own experiences on this very day. I'd had an awful nightmare and accidentally stabbed myself with my food knife. My shoulder is really smarting now, I can tell you. Never mind. These things happen when you're adventuring. Well, that's it for this week's adventures. Onwards to Rivendell now, I believe.